that when you're a salesperson, when you're a closer, what you're doing is you're helping someone. Someone's coming to you with a pain point, and you're helping to solve that point of pain, right?
Came up from the bottom to the top. Henny on his gun and never stop. And he always punching.
So we have here Deneen White. So I think she's already here. So she is our featured player today. She has been working in the entertainment industry for a very long time now. She will be sharing her success stories, and she will be doing a Q&A later after that. So Deneen, can you hear me, Deneen?
Awesome. How are you guys doing today? It's such an honor to be here. So before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about my story, and then I want to answer your questions. Okay. So my name is Deneen White, and what I do is I work with a company called VIP Ignite. And the cool thing about what we do is, how many of you have ever thought about being an actor, a model, or a musician, even in passing? No. Okay. See. Okay. So I'm amongst good company. So what we do is we take people like yourselves who are like, okay, this is something I kind of want to do. I'm interested in this. And we bridge the gap for you. What we do is we run events where you can actually meet like 35 industry professionals who at the snap of their fingers can totally change your life. And you're probably thinking, okay, why is someone in the entertainment industry talking to a room full of closers? Okay, so again, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my backstory and how I came to be here today. Is that okay with you guys? Give me a thumbs up if it is. All right, awesome. So I'm going to go way back to when I was 7 years old. The first thing I ever remember wanting to do when I was a little kid had nothing at all to do with sales, had nothing at all to do with business. I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. I wanted to be a teacher because I had a third grade teacher named Miss Mealy who took this shy, introverted girl and tried to get her out of her shell. She tried so hard, but she was amazing. Like, she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Okay. So when growing up, I was always super shy, super introverted. I like to say I had an old soul. I always wanted to hang out with the grown-ups instead of the kids. So if I was at a birthday party of my peers, I'd be like sitting with the adults having tea instead of like having cake and like running around like a crazy person. So my teacher in third grade saw something in me, and that meant a whole lot to me because before that, my mom was the one always fighting for me. Like I said, I was painfully shy. So in first grade, they actually put me in a class for developmentally disabled people. They were like, oh my God, this girl is not social. So obviously there's something wrong with her. But my mom fought for me, and she's like, no, she's just smart and she's just introverted. So my mom fought for me, which led to me having this amazing teacher. So the first thing I remember wanting to do was I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to help people the way that Miss Mealy helped me. And I'm actually still Facebook friends with her now. I'm 45 years old, so we're still friends on Facebook, which is kind of cool. The next thing I wanted to do after being a teacher was I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. Like, because growing up, I had allergies and different things like that. So I went to the doctor a lot, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I could help people feel better. But then when I did some research and I saw the price tag associated with that, my family didn't have doctor kind of money. So I was like, okay, what else can we do? Then I got involved with the church, and the next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to be a missionary because I wanted to go out, and I literally wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to help people. Like, I wanted to help people like become better people, like learn things that I learned, like those little things that really helped to form me. Okay. Because growing up, again, being introverted, my faith really helped to get me through those hard days. Like, there were days like I would just sit in my room and it would be like me, my Bible, and this little girl, like, okay, God, please help me. Can anyone are any of you actually introverts that are in here? Can any of you relate to my story? Okay. Dave's like, no, I am not an introvert. I kind of got that idea the first time I saw you, Dave. But like being an introvert, like when you're growing up, like you feel like there's something wrong with you because you're not taught, at least in the 80s when I was growing up, you weren't taught, okay, you can be an introvert and you can do all these things. Like, it was like, okay, go in and be a part of your peer group. So everything I wanted to do, I always wanted to help people. Okay. One of the other benefits and detriments that I think it was a good thing, but also not necessarily the best thing, was I was always really good in school. I was that jerk that everyone hated, who I would sit down, I would take a test, and I'd be done in like 15 minutes and I'd get an A on it. While everyone else is like sweating, just writing down their answers, I would be really quick at test taking. So I was always at the top of my class, which was amazing. Okay. I mean, it got to the point where the superintendent of schools knew me. Hey, Deneen, how's your mom? How's Debbie doing? And I was mortified. When I was a senior in high school, he stopped me by my locker to ask me how my mom was. And I was like, oh my gosh. But again, being known by everyone in the school, all the teachers, like I was always that good kid. I never colored outside the lines. Maybe for like 10 minutes as a senior in high school, I sowed my wild oats, but I was always that person who colored within the lines. So, and I graduated, the school that I grew up in, it was I grew up in a small town in South Jersey. Okay, literally, I graduated with 60 people. Like, I used to joke around, I need to get out of this small town because you know what? Whenever I sneeze, the whole town says, God bless you. And I always felt really stifled because everyone knew me. So I made one of the first bad decisions of my life. In my school, because I was at the top of my class, there was always this pressure to go on to a Division I school. Okay, mind you, I'm still a really introverted person. I'm a senior in high school. I'm like voted the unsung hero because like I'm the person behind the scenes doing things, but I'm not the one who's out there and vivacious in front of everyone. So I was like, okay, you know what? Instead of being a big fish in a small pond, I want to be a small fish in a big pond and see how I survive. So the first worst decision of my whole entire life that I made, and I still apologize to my dad every once in a while for paying for this, is I decided to go to the University of Connecticut in Stores. Now, I made some of the best friends of my whole life there, but I was so arrogant because, again, I was a big fish in a small pond my whole life. So when I went to UConn, I was taking all of these classes that I had already taken in high school, literally the same textbooks and everything. And I was like, well, damn, I don't have to go to class. I'm good. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. Boy, was I wrong. So I'm not going to go into the gory details of my freshman year of college. But after 2 semesters, UConn said, okay, you know what? Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the 15 grand. Have a nice life. We don't want you back. And I was like, I was devastated because my whole identity was in school and excelling in school and just being able to be smart enough to skate my way through. And I was like, okay. Now what do I do? Have any of you ever been in a position like that? Now what? Okay. I can't go back to school. My parents put out all this money and I'm like, what the fluff do I do? So I went back home with my tail between my legs and I started working in a doctor's office. He was a family friend and he gave me the chance to go work for him. And it was really cool for like 6 months. I became really good at dealing with people. That was my first foray into actually learning how to deal with people because it was a geriatric office. So I was like this 18-year-old bubbly girl. Hey guys, what's up? And all these old people coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning for their fasting blood test, right? And they're like, what is wrong with this girl? And I'll never forget, there was this one of like the turning points in my whole entire life was there was this old man that used to come in once a month for his blood work, like clockwork. And one day I was like, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm awesome. And I was like a jaded 18-year-old. So I was like, well, why are you so awesome? He said, you know what? I woke up this morning and I read the newspaper and my name wasn't in the obituary. So today's an amazing day. And I was like, wow. Like I never would have thought of that. And now that I'm 45 years old, I'm like, oh, I say that to people sometimes. They're like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So that was like one of those turning points in my life. But I found out also that, again, like the doctor's office that I worked in, it was a really small office. So there were like my mom worked there. My mom and I traveled together a lot in my younger years, but my mom worked there. And then again, my sister actually worked in another doctor that lived there. It was like a very family affair. But I found out really quickly that I wanted more in my life than to work at a doctor's office. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? So then I made the obvious choice. I went into banking. Okay. One of my good friends was a manager of a bank and she put in a good word for me and I started working in a bank. And I loved that because there was so much room for growth, because like anytime I started to feel stifled, I could move to a new branch or I could move to a new position. It was amazing for me. So that was actually my first foray into sales, although I didn't realize it until I was really thinking back about, okay, Deneen, when did you actually start getting involved in sales? Because one of my jobs was to sell people checking accounts, savings accounts, loans, all those things. And I was like, okay. And I was actually really good at it. But for me at that time, there was always this, I hate to say this, but there was always this little bit of shame about being a salesperson. Okay. Because how many of you, before you got into being closers, how many of you, when you thought of salespeople, you thought of the used car salesman that sells you the car, and then 3 days later you're driving down and your transmissions explodes and you're like, thanks, buddy. That was awesome, right? So that's the way I always thought. Yeah, door-to-door salesman too, right? Yeah. Hey, would you like a vacuum cleaner? Would you like this amazing brush? Or my mom sold Avon. So growing up, what we did is my summers were spent putting Avon books on people's like gates, hoping to God that they would answer, right? How many of you can relate to that? So there was always this shame that I had that went along with sales. Okay. So eventually I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And so I was in banking for 6 years, and I actually was tremendous at what I did. Again, the training from the doctor's office, all those little old ladies, they love to come to me to help reconcile their bank accounts, or to, oh my gosh, hon, I have $1,000. Can I put it in this CD that's going to earn 1% interest if I keep it in there for the next 16 years? I didn't know any better. I was still really young. So I was really good at it, but I always felt like there was something missing, because I didn't really feel like I was giving back. In retrospect, I understand now that I was really helping people. Like I was filling a need that they had a need, and I had a product that filled that need, but I had this icky feeling still about sales. So then I went to work. I went back to school because the one thing I always regretted was not finishing my degree. So I went back to school and I got an English degree. How many of you know you can't do crap with an English degree, right? Like I got my English degree. I was like, yes, I can quote Shakespeare to you. It's going to be amazing. And then I found out no one wants, unless you're going to like law school or something like that, or unless you want to be a professor of English at a university and go get your PhD, there's not really much you could do with that. So I got my degree in English from Temple University. I was really proud of that. But then I graduated and I was like, okay, now what? So my senior year at Temple, I took a class on the history and politics of China. I was like, oh my gosh, I love the Asian culture. Let me find a job. I don't care what it is that involves the Asian culture. So I got a job in Boston, Massachusetts, working for an Asian language publisher, which was amazing. The only problem with that, and this is everything I'm saying, like all these problems, they're all right here, but we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes, okay? But the problem with the Asian language publishers, how many of you saw the movie The Devil Wears Prada? Yeah, so I worked for that lady, the Asian version of her. It was the most awful experience of my whole entire life because I hadn't done any mindset work. I was still a little cocky. I was like, yeah, I could do anything I want. When I left, she actually told, like, I chose to leave because I had some family problems at home. But she told me that I was the most disappointing person she ever hired in her life. For a high achiever, how many of you know that was the most devastating thing anyone could ever say to you? So I was like, well, damn, I'm a disappointment. This is not, I mean, I don't speak any of these languages, but it hit right in the heart. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I need to figure out my life. So, but I still was in love with everything Asian. So I came back to Philadelphia and I had the opportunity to start working for a dental implant company that just started in the US. And I started out as an admin there. And then I rose to the point where I was I was actually one of the people that trained dentists. And by the way, I don't have a dental degree, so I don't know why they trusted me to do this, but I trained dentists on how to place dental implants. And I was one of the people that actually started to help sell the dental implants. And I was like, okay, this is cool because you know what? If you do the research, or any of you at all in dental sales or interested in that at all, well, if you are not, that's something you should really look into because the edentulous population in this country is amazing. You would be like, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but the number of people that are missing one tooth that need to be replaced by a dental implant, astounding. The possibilities are endless in that field, but I'm not here to talk to you about job opportunities. But I found that I was pretty good at selling during that point because I was able to convince these dentists that I could teach them how to place dental implants. Meanwhile, they went through 4 years of school, like undergrad. They went through 4 years of dental school. Most of them went through postgraduate programs in dental school, and I was teaching them the benefits of placing implants and how to grow their practices. So I kind of started to think, okay, I'm helping people because if you're missing a tooth, you need to get it replaced because there's a whole bunch of problems. And these dentists are listening to me. That's pretty crazy. So I went from there to I started working in dental offices, and the dentists that I worked with, they always obviously placed implants because that was my area of expertise, if you will. And I found that being a salesperson wasn't icky. I still didn't think of myself as a salesperson back then, but I was the person that if someone needed a dental implant, after the dentist talked to them, because I was the front desk girl, I was like, hey, hi, how are you? How would you like to schedule an appointment? Who would you like to see today? Because I was the person that that wasn't scary to them. I was the person that called them to confirm their appointments. So when I talked to them, they knew that I had their best interest at heart. So that was when I started realizing, okay, you know what? Maybe I can be a salesperson, because if you were listening before, everything that I ever wanted to do, it never had to do with great wealth. It never had to do with me being famous or me being powerful. Everything I've ever wanted to do in my whole entire life had to do with me helping people. So working in the dental field, it was perfect because someone came to me with a problem and I gave them different options to solve that problem. And that's what sales is, right? You guys know that when you're closing deals, you're not closing someone because you want, I mean, don't get me wrong, the money is going to be good, right? let's not be liars about this. But yeah, if you do it well. But the thing is that when you're a salesperson, when you're a closer, what you're doing is you're helping someone. Someone's coming to you with a pain point and you're helping to solve that point of pain, right? You guys have learned that in your training, I'm sure, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I was in the dental field, and I loved it. I loved helping people, but I found that most dentists are not necessarily the best business people. And during this time, I was in dental for over 10 years, and I started to get introduced to people like Tony Robbins. I started to get introduced to people like Russell Brunson. I started to get introduced to all these amazing business people that use the online sphere to promote their businesses. And I would be in the dental office. I'm like, oh my God, we need to do like Facebook ads. We need to like get our Instagram up and running because this is the way to do it. And they'd be like, the last doctor I worked for was like 85 years old. I think he had an Instagram only to stalk his staff, but like he didn't do anything with it. And they were like, what is wrong with you? Can't you just answer the phone and sell implants? I'm like, yeah, but we could be doing so much more. Don't you understand? Like, we could be doing so much more. So again, I found myself hitting the ceiling of like, I want to do so much more. They thought I was negative because I wasn't happy just sitting there answering. Oh, hi. Oh, you have tooth pain. Oh, what time would you like your root canal? Like, how many people are excited about getting a root canal, right? Like, ugh. So, during that time, I had the opportunity to start working with VIP Ignite on a very, very part-time level. So it was like during one of my darkest days at the dental office, I got a phone call and it was like, hey, Deneen, what are you doing? And I was like at work on my phone, like total professional. I was like, you know what I'm doing. I'm sitting here working, whatever. And I got the opportunity to host a podcast. And I was like, even though you guys may not believe this, I'm still an introvert. I'm like, you want me to host a podcast? Me? He's like, yeah, don't you think you could do it? I'm like, well, who am I going to talk to? You're going to talk to actors, models, and musicians. And I was like, what am I going to ask them? I still don't know why he let me do this. But so we went through this whole process and I was like, okay, fine. Because he was like, what, you don't think you can do it? I was like, of course I can do it. I can do anything. I'm a high achiever. I'm an overachiever. So I started hosting the podcast for the company. And that led me to being the publicist for VIP Ignite. And what I found again was that my core value of helping people really came into play because I was able to help talent tell their story. Because how many of you know that you have to be able to tell your story to disarm people? And if you're in sales, like, you have to be able to share a little bit of yourself and be able to share your story in order to disarm people, right? How many of you are good at sharing your stories? Right? Yeah, you should be. And if you're not, it's something you should really work on, because what I found is that if you're able to give that 30-second elevator pitch to disarm people, when people trust you, that's when they're going to buy from you. When people trust you, that's when you're going to be a closer, right? I talked to Alex yesterday. Within 37 seconds, I would have bought anything he was trying to sell me. He was like, you're just a ray of sunshine, aren't you? I was like, me? Like, he probably, if he saw me talking today, he's like, I don't know who that girl was I was talking to yesterday, because I was so nervous. But within, like, he has that gift where he just disarms you, right? So back to my journey here. I know this is a long journey, but it'll all make sense to you guys in a couple minutes, okay? Are you guys cool with my story so far? Okay. So yeah, so I started working with VIP Ignite. I started hosting the podcast. And then what we do is we have live in-person events. This is obviously pre-craziness of 2020. We had live in-person events. So I started helping the talent get ready for the events. I would prepare them to talk to the industry experts. I would prepare them for the photo shoots. And I was like the organizer behind the scenes. I started doing that. Then about 2 years ago, about a year before the craziness of 2020 hit, we started an online coaching program. So what we would do is, because obviously if you wanted to travel every weekend to go get coached or to go work with industry experts, it would get a little bit expensive. So what we did was we started an online academy for people in the entertainment industry. And I got the opportunity to spearhead that. So now I'm working with the industry professionals and I'm working with the talent, and I kind of accidentally became an accountability coach for everyone. And the thing I learned during that time was how important mindset is. Okay. Because the thing is that if you go back, like all the problems I had in my previous jobs, they had nothing at all to do with my employer. It was all here, right? Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm way too smart to work in a doctor's office, so let me move on to the next thing. And then with the banking, like, I never could adapt my mindset to what I was doing and how I was being helpful. So what happened was I was like, okay, well, now I have to move on from this. And then even in the dental field, like, could I go back and manage a dental office with the best of them? Absolutely. But would I be happy? No, because the reason I love what I do right now is, first of all, everything that has led me up to talking to you guys, which is so exciting for me, because this is something like I love encouraging people, and I love getting people like wanting to do things, right? I want to encourage you guys. When you guys leave here today, my goal is that a little part of my story touches you in a way that when you go out and talk to your customers, to your clients, to one another, that there's some small shift in you. But the one thing, to go back to mindset, the problem I had throughout my whole life with every different phase of my life was my mindset. Okay. Like, growing up, like, my shyness as a child, it wasn't because I wasn't an awesome person. I was a great kid. I was smart. I was respectful. But there was something in me that didn't think I was worthy to be friends with other people. So I was like, oh, they're never going to like me. There's no rational reason for people not to like me. I mean, I'm the least combative person that you will ever meet in your whole entire life. But like, there was this mindset thing. Like, I never wanted to offend anyone. Even in the bank, like, the reason that I left working in the bank is because they started pushing us to start selling loans. And I had the detriment that I had, which I wish I could go back to my 23-year-old self and punch her in the face, honestly, because I worked in one of the most affluent areas in the country, right? If I had the right mindset, if I had the training that you guys are getting now, I would be a multi-millionaire making money off loans. I worked in one of the most affluent areas in the country. I could have sold any of them loans. They had great credit scores. And now, knowing what I know, like, when you are someone who's successful, you're not using your own money to fund things. You're using other people's money. So if any of you are young, remember that what you're doing, you're offering someone a great service. Okay. But it was my mindset. Even in college, it was my mindset. Like, oh my God, I'm too smart. I'm not going to go to class. I'll just skate through. It was all between here. So what happened for me was, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I made a lot of bad decisions because I didn't realize that I was the problem. And FYI, I had a pastor who once told me, he said, Deneen, do you understand that no matter where you go, you're going to go with you? And I was like, you are such a jerk. What are you even talking about? Right? I was like, I know I'm going to go with me, but it never occurred to me that he was like, you need to change your way of thinking in order for you to be successful. You need to change your way of thinking in order for you to go to where we all have limitless possibility. How many of you know that you have limitless possibility? Right? How many of you know you already have everything inside of you that you need to be successful? You just have to mine it. You have to pull it out. You could blame Tony Robbins for this speech because every time I hear Tony Robbins speak of, I have limitless possibilities. And then the next day I'm like, wow, why do they want me to talk to them? This is crazy. Right? But the thing is that we all have everything that we need inside of us already to be successful. But what we need mentors. We need people to remind us. We need people on those days where we're feeling like this. I'm not. Why are you even asking me to do this? We need people in our lives to remind us, you know what? You're here to serve a better good. How many of you understand that? If you understand that, raise your hand for me. Right? How many of you have, like, even this morning, you're like, I don't know about this. This is crazy. Why should I go listen to this? I don't know who this Deneen is. Why should I even go listen to her? It's okay. You guys don't know me. It's cool. But like, how many of you are like, okay, you know what? I'm kind of happy I showed up today because you know what? I know I have limitless possibility. I'm going to go out and I'm going to close all the deals, right? Awesome. So yeah, so what I found was that my biggest obstacle wasn't my bosses. It wasn't the opportunities. It was right here between my ears. And yeah, exactly. It's right here between your ears. Okay. And here's the thing. I had to make an investment in myself, a significant financial investment at the time in order for me to be here right now. Okay. Because right about the time when I was asked to host the podcast for VIP Ignite, and my dental career was going up in flames, I met this mindset coach, and she was like, I consumed all of her free content. I loved her free content so much. I was like the super fan, and I was a super fan before Facebook groups had like super fans. You know, you get the little badges. You're the best fan ever. I was her super fan way before those badges came out, and I would consume all of her free content. And then one time she said to me, Deneen, you and I need to talk. And I was like, what do we need to talk about? She's like, I have this program and I think it would be great for you. And like automatically I was like, hold on, she's going to try to sell me something. Danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. But I listened to her, and that was the single best decision that I ever made in my whole entire life. How many of you can agree, like, you investing in yourselves to be here right now, single best decision you've ever made in your whole entire life, right? Yes, right? So I'm just thinking about the investment I made back then. I'm sweating. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, it was only $3,600, but at that time, that was a lot of freaking money for me. So she's like, I have this program and I think it'll be perfect for you. And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, what do you mean you don't know? And she's like, but that was how I heard it. She's like, honestly, the sweetest person in the whole entire world. She's like, okay, Deneen, well, you know, you can keep doing what you're doing, and you can keep, like, you know, earning money for other people, and you can just keep being unhappy. If that's what you want, that's fine with me. But you know what, Deneen? I see more in you than that. And I was like, darn you. Okay, fine. Let's do this. So I made that initial investment of $3,600 in myself, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because there are days where I'm like freaking out. Okay. There are days I freak out because I'm like, I don't know why I'm even like, why would anyone ever listen to me? But then I remember that I have everything inside of me that I need to be successful right now. And I realized that God put me on this planet because there are people that need to hear what I have to say. Because you may have heard the same exact speech from someone else, but maybe you didn't hear it because it didn't come from the voice that you needed to hear it from. Okay. So when I worked with her, that was when everything literally changed for me. Okay. Making that investment in myself, scariest freaking thing in the whole entire world. But it was the best thing that ever happened, because what I learned was I learned how to channel this gray matter between my ears for my good instead of always freaking out. Like when I had those freak out moments, I'm like, okay, no, you know what? You pull it in. You learn how to manage your mind. How many of you know that there are going to be points where you're going to be your biggest enemy, right? You guys know that. But how many of you know that if you channel what's going on between your brains, you're going to be your biggest success story too? You are going to be your biggest success story. One of my favorite things about working with new talent in the industry is watching them grow in confidence, watching them grow. And sharing my story like this helps me to remember that we all start somewhere, right? So what I want to encourage you guys with right now is that you are in an amazing place. You've already done the hardest thing in the world, which is investing in yourself, and your future self may already be thanking you for this, but I can guarantee you that if right now you're still freaking out, one day you're going to look back to this time where you're going through this academy. This isn't an easy academy either. This isn't like, hey guys, show up, we're going to give you a participation trophy. They put you through the ringer in here, don't they? Alex told me, so I was like, holy mackerel, like you have to take tests. I was like, holy crap. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, so I want you guys to know that you are in the right place right now. I don't know any of you, but I could tell you that right now, because you've invested in yourself, you are in the right place. Because you know what? Again, my whole life, I always thought that sales was icky. But that's what I do now for VIP Ignite also. Like I wear so many different hats, right? I'm the publicist. I host events for the company. I host live events. I host our virtual events. I do so many different things. And the other thing I do is sales. And the other day, I had the opportunity to talk to a bunch of people. And before, I used to be like, oh my gosh, like, why, what are we doing? But now I understand that I'm helping to change lives, right? Because again, like I saw someone in the chat said, oh, my sister, I was raised by a runway model or something like that. And I feel like everyone at one point in their life either wanted to be an actor, model, or musician, or knows someone who did. And the thing is if I weren't doing what I do, there would be so many more people living in the land of what if, right? How many of you have ever lived in the land of what if? That is a crappy place to live. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? I want to take you into the land of possibility. When I'm talking to you, when I'm talking to someone and I'm like, okay, you know what? This is the opportunity we have for you. Like, I'm not selling anyone. I'm not going to lie. I'm not selling you. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom that you've already asked for, because you have a pain point, and my job is to help you relieve that pain by showing you how to relieve it, right? And that's what sales is all about. That's what closing is all about. You're not closing someone because you want to cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Again, although that is really good, I'm not even going to lie to you, but you're helping to fix a pain point in someone's life, right? So as you guys can tell, how many of you think I have a lot of plates in the air at all times? I do. So can I share one secret that I've learned with you guys? And then I'm going to open it up to some questions. Can I share like the biggest secret I've learned? Okay, so
yes, please.
I'm going to switch it over here. I'm going to use my whiteboard here. I'm really excited. I love drawing. Okay, so how many of you have a lot going on in your life besides just the Closer Academy? How many of you you all have a lot going on in your life, right? So let's do this. Okay, so here's a circle. This is one of the secrets that I literally use every day, and it's called the circle of focus. How many of you ever heard about the circle of focus? Okay, good. I'm going to show you guys something new. I'm excited now. Okay, so the circle of focus. Okay, so the only way that you can truly fully focus on okay, hold on. First, let me rewind. How many of you are multitaskers? How many of you think you know how to multitask? Yeah, right. I used to be a multitasker, a serial multitasker. Heather says she's always busy. Okay, so you guys understand. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the circle of focus. Okay, so let's say that all you have to focus on is the Closer Academy. Okay, so we're going to put that. Okay, so how much of your effort are you putting into the Closer Academy if that's your whole focus?
100%.
100%, exactly, right? 100%. Okay, but you know what? The reality is we all have other stuff. How many of you have a job outside of this that's paying for this, the Closer Academy, right? So now we have work. Okay, so we have work in the Closer Academy. So how much of your effort are you putting into each of these things now?
Half.
50%, right? Half, 50%.
50%.
Okay. And then how many of you have families that you have to take care of? Okay, so we're going to add our family in here, right? So now how much attention are you giving to each of these things, each of these items?
33 and a third.
33 and a third. Thank you for your 33. We're just going to do 33 just because we're here. We can do 33.3. Okay. How many of you have friends that you want to spend time with? Right? So now how much are you dedicating to everyone?
25%.
Yeah, right. 25%. So now it's going down. 25. Sorry, my writing is so wonderful. What else do you guys have going on? Yeah, we have school, right? Let's talk school. We could put school in here. And then what else? You have school. How many of you have like working out, right? How many of you work out? You guys are closers. You should all be working out. So you have health. We'll do health here. Okay. And now we're talking about mindset. So how many of you have to make a little time to get your mindset right? So you're closing more deals, right? So we'll do mindset. And how many of you have a self-cleaning house? Or how many of you actually have to how many of you have Rosie the robot from the Jetsons? No? So you have to take care of the house too, right? So we have a house. How many of you have to cook? You at least have to microwave your food, right? Or go pick it up, right? So we have food in here somewhere. How many of you feel like this is your life a lot of the time? Right? It's crazy. It's frantic. Oh, kids. I didn't even think about kids. We should divide your family one a lot more, right? Yeah, this is all, and this isn't even talking this weekend you have to go see your family for Father's Day or whatever. This is the basics. If we actually went in, it would be the craziest circle ever. Okay. It's insane everything you have to do. And this is literally what my life feels like on a daily basis. If I showed you the list of things that we have to accomplish by the end of the week here in this office, you'd be like, holy crap, how are you guys going to do it? Okay. So what I learned not too long ago is that I cannot multitask. For my whole life, I thought I was a multitasker, but the fact is I'm not. Okay. So what I've learned to do is whenever I have time whenever I have a day that looks like this, I have to sit down and prioritize. Okay. And how many of you have to-do lists? How many of you okay. Now I have a question for you. When you're writing out your to-do list, do you feel amazing? Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. No, it sucks, right? I hate to-do lists. So what I learned this from an actor that we work with actually. And instead of having a to-do list, I have an I get to-do list. Okay. Now, if you're okay, I get to go to work. Does that feel better than I have to go to work? Or I get to go to school instead of I have to go to school? Feels so much better, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to start making an I get to-do list. Okay. Okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to prioritize what you have to do what you get to do. See, I still mess up the words, but I want you to prioritize what you get to do on this list. Okay. Okay. So work, you get to go to work. You get to go to the Closer Academy, right? You get to spend time with your family. You get to work out. Okay, do you guys get the idea? Okay, yes, so what I want you to do is I want you to come up with a list of things that you get to do. Okay, but this is the key. What you have to do is set a time limit for each of these items, and during that time, that is your circle of focus. Okay, so if you are at work, I should have put that further down, but if you're at work, say you have to go in for a 4-hour shift, let's just go with it. Okay, for those 4 hours, your sole focus is accomplishing whatever you get to accomplish while you're at work. And let's say they give you 2 hours of work you have to do for the Closer Academy. During those 2 hours, your sole focus is those 2 hours. Okay, or your sole focus is whatever time you allow for your family or for working out. Okay, because here's the thing. How many of you have ever gone out to dinner with someone, especially now the world's opening up, so we're allowed to go out to dinner again, thank everything good and pure. But how many of you have ever gone out to dinner with someone and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you, and they're like, oh, what did you say? How many of you ever had that experience? I have. How, like, that freaking sucks, doesn't it? So what I want you to do is I want you to show up for yourself and for the people that you're around. So when you set out family time or friend time, be all in for that period of time. And let me tell you something. You will get so much more accomplished when you're solely focused on one thing than you will if you go all over the place. And literally, guys, I use this every day. Like today, I was working on a project before I got on here, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I was like, no, Deneen, circle of focus. Because, you know, when you're fully present in this very moment, that is when your life is going to change. Okay. Because when you're fully focused, when you're talking to your clients, when you're talking to like, I understand that you guys not only are working with clients, but you have people that you work with in the Closer Academy and all this stuff. Like, but when you're all in with your client, okay, so now say you're sitting down, it's time for you to close a sale. Okay. If you're thinking about, oh my God, well, after I'm done this, I have to go home and I have to cook dinner for my family, and then I have to work out, and then I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I have to book a flight because I have to go to California tomorrow for something, right? If you are not fully focused on your client in that moment, they're going to feel it. How many of you have ever been talking to someone? They want you to cha-ching, they want you to sign on the dotted line, they want you to close the deal, but you could tell they're already 3 steps ahead. They're already spending the money that you're about to spend with them. How many of you have ever felt that way? Yep. Right? How many of you know that like that's where my icky feeling of sales comes from? Oh my God, it's the used car salesman. Okay, I'm gonna unload this car, and then I'm gonna go to dinner, and she may not. I mean, I literally had that experience, by the way. I literally went to a used car salesman, needed a car, bought the car. The guy was like, everything's up to date. 3 days later, the transmission exploded. I'm driving down the street. There's all this gray smoke. I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Literally. God is my witness, right? But if that guy had given a crap about me, he never would have sold that car to me, right? So what I want you guys to do is when you're going about your day, when you're sitting down with your clients, be fully focused, okay? Be fully focused on that moment. Like turn off your notifications on your phone. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting text messages and I'm getting Instagram notifications. I'm like, just stop, shut up for a couple minutes. You know, do not disturb is your best friend when you're focusing on this stuff, right? So make sure that if you don't take anything else from anything I've said today, make sure you start using this, because this literally is a game changer. Like if you guys want, I'll have to figure out how to blur out our list over there. Like I'm literally looking at it. It's right across the room from me. But like if I showed you the list, you'd be like, oh, but you know what? I'm here all in with you guys right now. So when you're sitting down with your clients, when you're showing up to yourselves, be all in. Employ the circle of focus, okay? So I was told also that you guys love to know everyone's 3 favorite books, right? So can I tell you my 3 favorite books, and then I want to open it up to if anyone has any questions. Sound good? So my 3 favorite books are these. The first one is the Bible. You guys may boot me off. That's totally cool. But the Bible has been the one book that's been with me since I was able to read, that no matter what I'm going through, I open it up and there is some kind of wisdom. So whether you're a Christian or not, like there's wisdom to be found in the Bible. That book has been around for a long freaking time. And literally, like I was, this morning we were having a conversation about our business, and we were talking to people about, we were talking about how what we want our people to do is like start small and like build up, right? Everybody wants to they don't want to start booking community theater. They want to star in Marvel movies. I'm like, you've never acted, start a community theater. And the Proverbs, I love Proverbs 31. But the scripture that came to mind is do not despise small beginnings, right? So no matter where you guys are, do not despise small beginnings. Those to whom much is given, much is required. So if you only have small beginnings, enjoy it while it lasts, because as you are wise with those small things, you're going to get more and more and more. Okay. So I wasn't expecting to share a scripture, but there you go. The second book that literally changed my life. I read this book in probably 1996. John Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I can't quote it to you, but it was literally the first book that I ever read on mindset and on leadership. And I love John Maxwell. He's like one of my favorites. I don't think he's like a hot button guy anymore. He used to be in the 90s. But John Maxwell, like just his stories and the way that he explains leadership to you, I can put, if there's a group, I can email them to someone. I don't know exactly where those two scriptures are, but literally whenever I'm freaking out, they're the scriptures that come to mind. But I can find them for you, Brandon. If you want, hit me up on Instagram and remind me. I'll find them for you. And I can give you guys my Insta. And I'm not trying to gain followers or anything, but if anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, I'll share that with you guys in a few minutes. But anyway, so John, back to the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's just something about the way that John Maxwell writes that's so attainable. Like just the way he writes, anyone can take any one of those laws and radically transform their lives. So that's a book that I recommend. And this is probably one that you guys haven't heard, but Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Mm-hmm. That book rocked my world. Okay. And the reason it rocked my world here, if it's okay for me to share, I'm going to share my Instagram here. The reason that Atlas Shrugged rocked my world is because growing up, my parents were super, super liberal. And I'm not judging. Oh, thank you, Dave Ross. Dave Ross is getting Zechariah 4:10. Thank you so much. I know the scriptures. I just can't point. I can look them up, but I can't point them out to you in a really quick way. But anyway, the reason that Atlas Shrugged rocked my world is because, first of all, I feel like between that and the book, my third book was tied between that and 1984 by George Orwell. I feel like right now our world needs to understand that there's a lot of stuff going on that maybe you can't see. And if you're here, hopefully you're a capitalist because you are in sales, right? But like capitalism has this like negative connotation. But the fact is like our whole world is run on capitalism. So why not harness it for good? You know what I mean? So they're my 4 books that that changed me. And every once in a while, I go back to the Bible more than once in a while, but every once in a while I go back to Atlas Shrugged or to John Maxwell. And then I'm like, okay, I got this. All right. So I know I threw a lot at you guys. Are you guys cool? Did you learn something in the last 50 minutes or so that I've been talking?
Yes.
I learned that I talk really fast. I am from the East Coast. So if any of you are like, God, she talks a mile a minute, I do apologize, but that's how we talk on the East Coast. All right. So does anyone, I see people have questions. So do you want me just to call on you guys? Chelly, I saw your hand go up first. So we'll answer. What's your question? I don't know how to unmute or anything like that. This is my first time here. So.
Hello, Miss Deneen. Thank you so much for coming and everything. I looked you up already and sent you something on LinkedIn also.
Oh, cool.
I just want to know because I'm a Bible thumper myself too. What are 3 things you would tell your 23-year-old self? I remember you mentioning that, you probably would have knocked her out by now.
Yeah, I wanted to punch. I want to go back and punch her in the face. So what would I tell my 23-year-old self? First of all, you don't know everything, so calm down and learn. Because I thought I knew everything when I was in my 20s. Like I thought I was the smart. If any of you are in your 20s, this is if you don't. Again, aside from the circle of focus for you to learn something else, you don't know everything. Be open to learning. The second thing I would tell myself is, you know what? You're here at this very moment for a reason. Don't give up on yourself, because a lot of times I gave up on myself. So I would tell myself, calm down. Don't give up on yourself. Like, believe in yourself. And like, the third thing I would tell myself is to be fully in the moment, because it wasn't until recently I really started practicing mindfulness. And when you're fully in the moment, whether it's a good moment or a bad moment, it doesn't matter. There's something that happens in you that makes you appreciate all the other moments.
Yep,
So
that is
that's what I would tell my 23-year-old self. And if I can add a fourth thing, I would tell my 23-year-old self to spend more time with your mom and your dad, because you know what? They may annoy the crap out of you right now, but one day you're going to miss them in a way that you'll never understand. So be like, instead of like choose, there are times where I wish I would have chosen going to a family event versus going to a work event or a church event. So that's the other thing I would tell myself.
I ask you just one more question.
Of course.
I know that you also love God and the Bible and Jesus and all that. How do you balance that with work and life and everything? And also not being like judgmental in a sense, but share that light with others.
I'm still working on the judgmental part. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, I'm like, why can't you just see it? But one of the books that I read when I was a very young Christian was Practicing the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. And if you're a Christian, like, check that book out. It's like old. It's so old. But what he did was, in every task, he was being thankful to God as he was doing it. He was a dishwasher in a monastery, and like everything he did, he always gave glory to God for everything that he did. So with his I get to do list, like everything he did for the glory of God. So, and again, I do not have 100% track record on this. I'm not sitting here to say, oh my God, I am the Virgin Mary here. I'm perfect, because I am so far from perfect. But that helps me out. Like, there are times where I just have to remember who I am. Like, I'll take off my watch for a second. I got a tattoo years ago because I was struggling with exactly the question that you're asking. So I got a Celtic cross tattoo. I don't know if you could see it, but I got a Celtic cross tattoo because every time I forget who I am, I look and I remember whose I am.
Hi, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks, Deneen, for coming and doing a wonderful presentation. It was very excellent and educational, entertaining as well. So thank you very much. Top up from Winnipeg, Canada. I have a question for you, just in terms of focus and clarity, I guess. It's a little bit more on a macro scale, I think, from what you were talking about. But I can identify with a lot of the things you said. I was a physician for about 13 years and lost my medical license and have done a lot of bouncing around in the past year or so since that happened, just working on quite a number of different businesses and projects and that, and now got into this, which I'm finding really, really excellent, and feel a sense of belonging here, which is great. But how would you find in your life that you find a good way to kind of find some kind of clarity or focus in a project or in a way that a direction that you want to take your life?
Oh my gosh, I think you might be talking to the wrong person about that, because every day I have 10 different things I want to do. Again, I think for me, I have a litmus test that I run everything I work through, that I choose to do. And the question I need to answer is, am I helping people? So if I don't feel I can add value, if I don't feel like I can give you more value than I'll receive, then I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. So so for me, like, for clarity, the first thing I want to make sure is this something where I can help people? Like, if I ever thought that what I was doing with VIP Ignite, I wasn't helping people, I would bounce in 2 seconds. The other thing is like, does it make you feel good what you're doing? Like, that may sound silly, but like, we all have intuition. Like, we all have a knower. And if it feels good, and not in a momentary goodness, but like, do I feel like I'm leaving a ripple of goodness for the future? Then that's something I'll move forward on also. Because again, I've had a lot of opportunities afforded to me where I was like, I couldn't do that if you pay me $1 billion. Like, for me, money isn't my main. I love money. I'm not here to say I don't love money, because you know what? Money pays for this beautiful studio I'm in. Money pays for my clothes. I'm growing food in my house, but like, if I didn't have money for the seeds, I wouldn't be able to do that. It's not that I don't like money, but money isn't my driving force. It's really nice, don't get me wrong, but for me, it's like, my first question is, am I really helping people? And the second is, does it feel good long term? that
Awesome.
make sense?
Thank you. It does, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
For me, I'm strong. I'm a strong believer in service to others. So I think that's why I decided to join in this program, is because I do believe in service to others. But how do you change the negative inner voice from interfering with your success and your efforts in your daily life?
That's a mindset thing. Like that's like the thing is that for years and years and years, I felt guilty being able to say that I liked money. Okay, because I grew up in the church and like I grew up in like the churches the first church I was a part of was like the super poor church, right? And then as I grew up, the last church I was involved in was a mega church where the pastor was driving a Lexus, living in a beautiful house, but he kept telling me that I should do everything for free because I'm a volunteer and I'm doing it for the glory of God. So for me, I had to come to terms with the fact that money is not the root of evil. The love of money is the root of evil, of all evil.
I think that's where I am right now.
And you know what? The other thing I'm just going to be really transparent with you guys. The other problem that I have, and this is something I literally struggle with. I'm getting better at it, but something I struggle with on a pretty consistent basis as well is the fact that for whatever reason, my parents, because of the way that they were raised, like my father was raised by a very poor man who grew up in rural upstate New York, who the only reason he got out was because he joined the service. My Oma, my dad's mom, was born in Nazi Germany. But she was born between World War I and World War II. So she grew up destitute. So my dad has a really bad relationship with money. And my mom, the same thing. Her dad was a plumber who was always like in and out of work. And my grandmother, she was raised by a woman who was raised in an orphanage. So pretty much I'm screwed when it comes to money. I've had to relearn my relationship with money on a daily basis. So what you have to understand is that money isn't evil. Money is currency. You can always make more money. Money is currency. And when you have, it's like not, I feel like when you grow up poor or you grow up, maybe not, okay, how about not poor, but when you grow up not affluent, because we were very middle class. Like I never like wanted for food or anything like that, but there was always this tinge of, well, no, you can't do that because. So I think for me, what I had to do, and I'm overcoming this because I kind of have no choice, but you just have to come to terms with the fact that money is currency. Rich people aren't intrinsically evil, even though that's kind of what's being taught in the media right now. Like you have to understand that, again, if you're a believer in Christ or you're a believer in God, God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. God is the one who creates all the wealth and God distributes the wealth. So you just have to come to terms. I wish I could give you, if you do this, this, and this, then all of a sudden your relationship with money is going to be amazing. It's not like that because there are times where I feel guilty for everything I have, which is insane because we work really freaking hard to get what we have. So it's like that dance where you have to dance around it and you just have to become comfortable with the fact that the more money that so your core value, you said, is serving people. Can you serve people without money? No,
I don't want to.
You can't serve people without money. Like at the very basic level, if you wanted to go make sandwiches for the homeless, what would you do? Would you just go steal the bread and steal the stuff? No, you have to pay. You need money to serve people. So The best way for you to serve the biggest number of people is by earning as much money as you can. So if you start to try to think of it that way, that might help to shift things a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Stephen, I said I would call on you because you were waving at me, and then we'll come back to the people who raised their Zoom hands.
Yes, I'm a musician at heart myself, so I'm planning on actually being in the entertainment industry. My question to you is, what was the most common problem that you've had as far as mindset when it comes to the entertainment people in the industry?
Oh my God, no one believes in themselves. They all say they want to do it, but no one believes in themselves. Like it's 100% mindset. It's like, or it's they believe in themselves too much. Like can you read music and like play music, or like what's your interest in the entertainment industry?
Well, I know how to produce, and I'm a songwriter, singer, and I also know how to rap too. So, I'm a multi-talented type of musician.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing is that people, one of the things I see is that people say they want to do it, but they really don't think they have the goods. The other thing is a lot of people don't have the connections, because the entertainment industry is not what you know or who you know, but who knows you. So I think that's the other thing. But the core value is confidence, because there are so many people that I work with hundreds of talent, and there are people that I like that are super talented, but they just don't believe in themselves as much as I believe in them. And we always tell them, I can't want this more than you do. But if it's one of the biggest things is just, you have to have the goods, and you have to know you have the goods, and then you have to know the right people. So, and it's all mindset, because anything is learnable, but like there are ways to accelerate your career, and then you could do it the easy way or the hard way. And a lot of people just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So for that, it's like, you have to believe that you can do it. It's the same thing with sales, right? Like if you walk into a room to close a sale and you're like, they're never going to buy from me, they're never going to buy from you. It's the same thing in the entertainment industry. Like if you walk into an audition and you're like, why would they choose me over all these other people? They're going to have those thoughts that you project into yourself, you're projecting onto other people. So there's a secret sauce that you need of combination of things, but most people just don't believe in themselves. That's what it really comes down to.
Thank you.
Sorry if that was a really long-winded answer, but
No, you're good.
if you talk to me about that and dental implants, I'll talk to you for 17 days. Everyone's favorite topics. Awesome. Okay, Quentin.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, so my thing was it wasn't so much of a question. I just kind of something that you had mentioned spoke to me, and I just kind of felt maybe I could give this to the panel, and maybe it could help all of us, because I believe we're all trying to go in a similar direction. We're all trying to, because it's levels. Everything is levels. We're all trying to raise it to the next level. I think one thing that's so key that you mentioned is that, because it's funny, I was just thinking about this even before this presentation, is really valuing time and blocking off time. Like literally, like getting your blackboard, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym 1 hour. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have a meeting with, my friend or whatever for this amount of hours, and literally like blocking down each and every, like down to the minute, to the second, like, and staying fully locked in at that moment, and then moving on to the next, hitting the next goal. And then another thing that I think that is so important, I know for me, what really is got me involved and wanted to be in the program, aside from obviously getting money, I have a motivation, whatever that motivation is for you guys, but I have something that's so driving that I have to get done. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm literally so locked into that motivation that I have to do. I'm turning off all my notifications, which I think is another value thing. Turn off notifications, Instagram. I believe my theory is I have to earn the leisure to entertain myself. And that it might be me being hardcore on myself, but that's how I personally level up. Like if I want to go out and do something fun for myself, I don't give myself that privilege until I've done X, Y, and Z. I put a number in my head, I set that goal, and I'm not gonna, entertain myself until I can get, I reward myself for stand on that goal. So it's just something I thought I'd share with everybody. That's kind of helping. So maybe,
I love that.
Maybe it can help everybody else. But you're doing great. You're doing great, by the way, too.
Thanks. No, that's awesome. I love, you need discipline in the world. And it's funny because I was in Boise last week and I was talking to this family. They're developing this really cool system that they're already implementing with their children, where the children actually have to earn time to play on their Xbox and different things like that. And I think if we were all taught that when we were younger, like I would love to go back and have a talk with my mom, who had me way too young, and be like, okay, Mom, this is what I need you to do so that when I'm 45, I don't have to relearn all of these things. So that's awesome. I love that.
I think it's so important to just, like when we go to work, we let the supervisor, like we know if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing on our job, we know we're going to get disciplined by our supervisor. So I'm just saying discipline, like be the supervisor for yourself. Like, you know what? I'm going to get myself in trouble if I do this or if I don't do that. Like I got to lock in. So I just think we just really need to be our own supervisors, punish ourselves. If we do something that we know we're not supposed to do, like, you know what? I wasn't supposed to go do this. I got to take 2 extra hours a day to go study or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. No, discipline is not a 4-letter word. Tom Brady didn't win 9,000 Super Bowls because he's not disciplined. If you guys don't like Tom Brady, don't throw tomatoes at me. But the discipline is a good thing. I think all of our lives we were taught that discipline is bad. Oh, if you don't do this, then you don't do this. But you know what? When I do this, then I get this. That's also discipline. So it's all about reframing the way that you see the word discipline. I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Xavier, I like your background. I feel like I'm at NASA. I'm like in a spaceship right now.
Thank you. I have one question, and it is, what are some books that you have read that pretty much made you the person that you are now? And from what you didn't know until like what you know now, what are some like books that you can recommend?
Books that I've read currently? Like you guys are all in the digital marketing field semi, right? Because you're all closing. Hi, Alex.
Hey, sorry, I had like an emergency, something I had to handle for someone. So, but I'm here now.
Awesome.
I'm glad I got to make it. I was kind of disappointed, so I'm here.
Thanks. So Xavier, one of the books that I've read recently, like, how many of you guys know who Russell Brunson is?
Oh, yes.
Honestly, Expert Secrets is one of my favorite books. Actually had the opportunity to meet Russell Brunson when I was in Boise. It was pretty freaking cool. But Expert Secrets, because it kind of it's taught me how to see what I do differently. Because I'm not necessarily the brains behind VIP Ignite. Again, I'm like the mindset coach. I host the virtual events. I do all of those things. But learning a lot of the things that Russell Brunson teaches in Expert Secrets, it really will help you because, like, with social media, my social media, don't judge me by my Instagram. I promise you, I have a plan. I actually have like a 90-day plan that I'm working on. I just got photos taken for social media. So it's not all going to be me eating ice cream cones and like running through fields and stuff. But like, even like the biggest thing that I've learned like over the last couple of months, year, is like social media. I used to get lost in notifications. I used to get lost in Facebook. I used to get lost in Insta stories. But now I realize that social media is a tool that I get to use. So like if you reframe the way that you use social media, Alex and I actually talked about this yesterday. Like social media it's not a game. Like it's a tool for you to use. It's an instrument. It's like, it's no different than a pen. You know what I mean? So like that's something. But so Expert Secrets, and again, like if you go back to like the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, like whether or not we all like it, we're all leaders. Okay, like and there are different types of leaders, and I'm like the I forget the name of it, but I'm like the one who never wanted to be a leader. Like I always had leadership qualities. I was like that. Probably part of the reason I didn't have friends when I was a kid, because I was bossy all the time. But I've always had that leadership quality, but I never really enacted it. So like the 24 irrefutable laws of leadership, it's great because like it really breaks things down for you. But the person that I am today is not only just because of books, but it's because a lot of times I had the guts to do something I was utterly unqualified to do, and I made it work. Like if you had seen me, like I've been running virtual events now since September of last year, like on this scale. And if you would have seen my first presentation, you would have been like, she's going to burn. She's never going to do another one. This is the most awful thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Like what, like why is she talking to people? But what I've learned is that you have to do things, like even with sales. Like I used to be terrible at sales. I literally got fired on my first day of doing sales for VIP Ignite because I didn't have it in me. I didn't have the belief in myself that I could help people. But sometimes you just have to do it. Be like Nike and just do it. Does that
Mhm.
help you at all? I don't know if I really answered your question, but like I've like the School of Hard Knocks has pretty much been my education, especially over like the last year and a half since we had to pivot. Like we literally were an events company that did events face to face. And then when they like shut down the whole entire world, we were like, what the hell are we going to do now? And we all learned together. So just do it. I hope that answered your question.
Right. Yes, it actually does. It actually
First step
motivates
is
me
just to
more
show up,
to
right? That's
actually
the
get it
first
done.
step of success.
Yeah, Alex,
Yes.
after I talked to you yesterday, I was like, I don't know if he might like change the link and give everyone a new link because I was like, hi, how are you? So I was like, I mean, I literally struggle with this stuff every day.
Yes, my bad. I said, it was like a.
No, it's not your fault. It was me. I was like, I was like, this poor guy probably thinks, why did anyone invite her to talk to my group? Like, what the hell is going on here?
Nah, when you told me what you do, I was like, it doesn't matter. Like maybe like whatever happens in the first 5 minutes, like when she gets on and warms up, she's got a thing. Like
Yeah, I told you, as long as I'm standing. Yesterday I was sitting. That was the problem.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. I was like, I don't sit.
Yeah.
If I sit down, it's like my feet hurt from standing too much, or I'm like, okay, I've been working 14 hours a day for like 8 days in a row and I feel dizzy. I better sit down and like squint while I type.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon, if you're still on, Brandon had a question and then I'll hand it back over to you, Alex. I don't know if Brandon can unmute himself. He said he had questions, but he can't raise his hand.
Yep, here I am.
Hi, Brandon. I've been watching. Even you were up in the top row for most of the day.
Yes, ma'am. So going back to music, question I have is, what is something so I've been writing poems and songs for like 25 years, and I've probably got somewhere in the ballpark of like 200 poems and songs I've written. I'd be curious as to what advice you might offer, like what is something I might could do to potentially get that material into the hands of like some musicians and artists, and possibly let them use that if they want to make a song out of it.
What type of poems and songs are you writing?
Most of it's just based on, a lot of it's faith-based. I'm a Christian. So a lot of it is faith-based, but most of it is just from direct personal life experiences.
Okay.
I mean, some of it is like happy, feel-good stuff. Some of it's like, hard time, going through a struggle, going through a battle kind of stuff.
Okay. What genre would you think it would be? Like, don't take this the wrong way, but based off of your accent, I would think it would be more like country, but that's me being judgmental. Like we already talked about, I'm a little judgy.
I've never visualized any of it as far as being country, to be honest. I'm from North Central Alabama. I've mostly listened to the majority of music I've listened to I listen to a little bit of everything because I play drums also. So I don't try not to get into a box as far as what style of music I play. But what I mostly listen to is rap, hip hop, and rock music.
Okay. So this is what I would recommend, because I think you have to know your lane and you have to know where you want your music to be put out. Because I think I forget who it was, someone else who asked about music also. Like I think part of the problem is that you have to kind of know your lane, but one of the things you could do is get that music in front of someone who actually can promote your music, someone who knows music, so that they can tell you. Because one of the things that we were working on as with one of our masterminds that we did with our talent was everyone was writing a song and everyone was like, oh my God, I want it to be this, I want it to be that. But when the lyrics came together, it was more of like a R&B meets rap kind of song, but some of the people wanted it to be pop. So like without seeing your lyrics and seeing exactly what they are, it would be really hard for me to answer that question, but kind of like do some research. Where do you live?
North Central Alabama.
Okay. Just do some research and like kind of, I guess, figure out like where you want the music to go. And it's, again, like I said earlier, with the entertainment industry, it's not what you know or who you know, but who knows you. So it's like getting that music out there, and also protect the rights to your music. Don't just like send it out willy-nilly. Make sure it's copywritten. It's super important to protect your intellectual property.
Would it help if I read one to you?
I don't know that I would be able to just do that off the cuff. I'm not mentally prepared to like analyze music today, but
he hits a button and like little sound studio pops out the drums and it out
like if you want, I mean, I shared my Instagram. If you want to reach out on Instagram, like we could talk if that's cool.
Okay.
I'm not trying to like
that's fine.
do anything. But that might be something a little bit better than me trying to figure this out while we're standing here. It's unfortunately it's not like, again, if it were A plus B equals C, that would be different. But like there are so many different avenues with music.
You gotta dissect.
Yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, are they all of your journals full of music and poems?
Yeah, several of these are journals that I've just filled up writing stuff over the years.
That's awesome.
I was just going to pick a random one and throw it out there, but yeah, I'll just hit you up on your IG.
Yeah, do that. That might be easier than me trying. I don't want to embarrass myself right now and like, oh yeah, like ask me mindset questions, books questions, but when it comes to music, I may have to call in the big guns too for that to help me. So.
All right. I definitely appreciate it. I'll be hitting you up on IG for sure.
Okay, that sounds
Deneen,
good.
How are we doing on time right now?
I have all the time in the world. Like I know people have to go. Like maybe if I have like 10 more minutes, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Perfect, because I gotta jump into something at 12:30. So we'll just answer a couple more questions and then we'll go. Also, funny story. So Michael Fumpkin, I was like, I know who he is. I just couldn't picture him. So I went and looked him up. He was on one of the first masterminds Mike ever did, even before I think we had the Closer Academy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh well, I have really big footsteps to fill, so I hope I'm doing okay.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing great. I would love to meet with him again. We got to figure that out.
Yeah. We could set up a time.
Heck yeah. All right, Quentin.
Yeah.
Got you, man.
Okay, actually, this is for Deneen.
Yeah.
Deneen. So I actually at one point in time I had ClickFunnels. I had it for a few months, and I got Russell Brunson's first book. I noticed you said that you got his. Did you get his first book? Well,
I got it. Yeah, I had his first book, but if you ever listen to him, he said Expert Secrets is the book you should read first.
So, and that was my question. What did you get? Kind of just a quick summary. Like, what did you kind of get out of Expert Secrets? Because I want to get it, and I'm probably going to get it. I just want to kind of get your input on.
Couldn't pay the $7.95.
I'm going to get it. Just since I have you here, I just thought I'd ask you, but I'm going to get it.
No, I think the thing that I learned the most out of that is like the difference between a red ocean and a blue ocean. So when you're developing a business, like if everyone's doing it, it's called a red ocean, which means kind of like think of like sharks, it's like a feeding frenzy. So try to find niche down to something that's a blue ocean where there aren't a lot of people doing exactly what you want to do, and just be the most vocal out there. Like Russell Brunson, if you guys follow him, like he is always talking everything. And the other thing that I learned last week that didn't come from Expert Secrets is that he's literally the person that he tells you he is. When I met him in person, he literally is like, it's so funny because I went up to him and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to meet you. And I wanted to say, I know that you're socially awkward and you're feeling really uncomfortable because you have to talk to me right now. But so just like, you have to be authentic, and just when you're figuring out what you want to do, like fill in that blue ocean, because if there are a lot of people going after the same group of people, the noise is going to be so much louder. But if you're going after a smaller group of people that's more niche down, it'll be a lot easier for you. Not easier as in you don't have to put in the work, but it won't be quite as crazy. It won't be a feeding frenzy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, those 4 books that you recommended earlier, you mentioned the Bible, 21 Irrefutable Laws. I missed the last 2 out of the 4 that you mentioned earlier.
It's Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand.
Atlas Shrugged?
Yep.
Okay.
And Practicing the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Lenan, you got your hand up. Did you already talk?
She did not. Lena Ann?
Lena Ann? Yeah, that was messing with me, especially with the capital A. Okay, maybe she's not there.
Oh,
Shelly, did you talk already?
Sorry,
No, that's by
Alexi.
accident. But I mean, it's okay. I'll ask questions since I get put down on the spot like this. I guess the question is, would you ever go back and tell yourself of not to do something that you've done so far, or something that
Absolutely.
might be put you kind of set you back a little bit for some time? What would that be?
I would never go back and tell myself not to make one of the bad decisions that I made, because literally every decision has made me the person standing in front of you today. Every hard thing I've gone through has made me the person that I am today. Like all the loss, all the bad decisions. Like I lost my mom 7 weeks ago. And that was the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but I wouldn't even trade that. As much as I would love to call her right now, be like, oh my God, Mom, I just had the most amazing day. I wouldn't trade anything that I've gone through, because it's made me the person that I am today. Like, even like, I didn't tell you guys like the financial crap I went through. Like I had a car repossessed. Like I almost like got thrown out of an apartment. Like I've gone through hell. I didn't even tell you guys the darkest stuff I've gone through. Thank you. But literally everything that I've gone through has made me the person standing here today. And I am so much stronger for having walked through all that shit, excuse my language, than if I hadn't gone through. So do I have regrets? Yeah. Do I regret not going to my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary party? Yes. But I wouldn't change one thing in my life.
Fair enough.
Sorry if that's a little deep, but it's just
no, that's perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. It's all about the journey, right?
Yeah, it's all about the journey.
That's for a reason. So
yeah, and like everything you've ever gone through has made you the person sitting here right now, and you're meant to be here for such a time as this.
That's right.
If you haven't failed 10 times at least, then you're doing something wrong.
I know.
Exactly.
Like, and being a high achiever, I hate failing, but it's the truth. Like the more skin knees you have, the more that scar tissue. Like I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. I'm sure you have, but like when you break your arm, when the bone fuses together, it's actually stronger. And there's a form of Japanese art, I don't know the name of it, but they take a cracked bowl and they put gold into those cracks to highlight those cracks. And I feel like
broken
if
vases,
you hide from those scars versus if you hide from your scars instead of highlighting them, then you're disingenuous.
Right.
Just my 2 cents. Just something I've learned in my 45 years on Earth.
Awesome.
All things work together for the good.
Yep.
That's right. Yep. Failing forward. Fail forward, guys.
That's another great book, John Maxwell. If you guys pick up that book, pick that one up too. I'm obviously a Maxwellian person. I don't know if that's a term, but we just coined it here today.
New words are always accepted.
Yep.
Okay, someone else, Jolita.
Hi.
What's up?
Quick question. Do you have any recommendations for mindset coaches to follow or books from them we should be reading?
Oh my gosh. I'm a huge fan of everything Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So anything that Tony Robbins does, UPW, any of that stuff, I highly, highly recommend. Every time I go through, I've been through UPW 3 times now. Every time I go, it's life-changing. I work with a lot of different mindset coaches, but with that's a really hard thing to answer because it's kind of like, oh, you know what? I would love that pair of shoes that you're wearing, but will it fit your foot like it fits mine? No, you know what I mean? So it's hard to recommend mindset coaches because the sphere that I'm in is definitely more geared toward women, which is ironic because there are so many men on this call today, but more geared toward like women. I'm more geared toward not necessarily manifestation, but like helping women become the people that they want to be. So for me, like I could recommend people that I follow, but I don't know that they would fit you necessarily.
Okay.
That's not an answer. I know it sucks. But
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to.
No, because I've had people recommend mindset coaches to me, and I'm like, I don't even understand this. Why would that's kind of if you wanted to have a conversation, like we could talk, and I could maybe recommend people, but it's really hard to. That's a hard.
You kind of just mentioned what I was thinking more for myself, just coming into who I am as a person, kind of thing. if that helped at all.
Start with Tony Robbins. He's a really good gateway mindset coach.
Okay.
And then expand from there.
Okay.
Do you follow Tony Robbins at all?
Yes. And actually, before I signed up for this Closer Academy, like that week before, I spent the entire week watching like for 3 hours every day, just got introduced to him and so many other speakers. It was great.
Yeah, like I mean, for me, like Tony Robbins was my gateway drug to mindset, if you want to be honest.
Okay.
So I recommend starting there, and then you kind of get a feel for where you should go.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's like a super personal question.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
No
I would never
worries.
go buy someone a pair of jeans because it's like there's a personal fit, and that's how mindset coaches kind of are.
Okay.
All right. Well, this has
All right,
been
guys.
amazing.
You have a good time?
I had an amazing time. Did you guys learn something today? Are you glad you spent the last 90 minutes with me? Or are you like, oh God, don't bring her back?
No, you're great.
Really good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can come back anytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remind me of who I want to be when I get 45.
Thank you.
Shelly actually sent me a message. She follows you and you are where she wants to be in her life. So you're, whether she told you or not, a very big role model and idol to her. Sorry for putting you on blast.
Thank you. Send me a DM. We could talk.
Yes, ma'am. I already added you on anything.
Yeah, no, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can always hit me up on Instagram. It may take me a little while to go through my stranger danger box because, Instagram, but yeah, just mention that you met me here and I'll
It's all about the voice messages, Deneen. Send the voice message. It works every time.
Yeah, send me the voice message. If
Send the voice message.
If Alex hadn't sent me a voice message, I'd probably been like, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing? So, yep.
All right, guys, we're going to let her go. Deneen, thank you so much for showing up. I know I wasn't here for the whole thing, but from what I got, it was great. And I'm sure all these guys, they're glued in. So I know they had a good time. I know they learned a lot. We really appreciate you. Stay in touch. And guys, she said you could hit her up. So I would take advantage of that. She's putting it out there, not to blast her, but if you guys have questions for her,
please do.
take advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk soon and have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.